Hello friends, this video on thermal properties of matter part 16 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. Please make sure that you have watched all the videos from part 1 to part 15 before going ahead with part 16. So now let us look at change of state from solid to liquid or from liquid to solid. Transition from solid to liquid is known as melting. Melting is a common term which we normally use when we say that the ice melted to water. That means the ice which was in solid state got converted into water, which is the liquid state. So transition from solid to liquid is known as melting, whereas transition from liquid to solid is known as fusion. So these are some small terms which you should remember, as it is going to help you when these terms come up in some problems or somewhere. So you will know what it actually means, right? Solid and liquid states coexist in thermal equilibrium during change of states from solid to liquid. That means when there is a change of state taking place from solid to liquid, at certain point of time, both the states coexist. That means the solid state and the liquid state, both the states exist together. Now, the scenario when both the states exist together, we say that the substance is in thermal equilibrium. Thermal equilibrium means there is no loss of heat or no gain of heat into the system. So, under thermal equilibrium, the solid state and the liquid state exist together. Now, let us see what is melting point. Just now I told you that conversion from solid state to liquid state is known as melting. The temperature at which solid and liquid states coexist is called melting point. We discussed some time back that at thermal equilibrium, the two states can exist together. So melting point is that temperature. It is a particular temperature when the solid state and the liquid state exist together. For example, we often say that melting point of ice is this temperature. That means at that temperature, ice gets converted to water, and at that particular temperature, both the solid state and the liquid state exist together. So melting point depends upon the nature of the substance as well as the pressure. So these are the two things which governs what should be the melting point for a particular substance. Melting point at standard atmospheric pressure is known as normal melting point. What is standard atmospheric pressure? Standard atmospheric pressure is nothing but 1 atmosphere. So at this pressure, melting point is known as normal melting point. Now let us talk about the change of state from between liquid and vapor states. Transition from liquid to vapor is known as vaporization. The liquid and vapor states also coexist in thermal equilibrium during change of states from liquid to vapor. So even in this case, even during vaporization, there is a certain point when the liquid and the vapor states exist together. So that is a state of thermal equilibrium when no exchange of heat takes place. So now let us look at the boiling point. On very similar lines as that of melting point, boiling point is also the temperature at which the liquid and vapor states coexist. So the liquid and vapor states will exist together at the boiling point. Again, boiling point also depends on nature of the substance and pressure. Boiling point increases with increase in pressure and vice versa. So that is how boiling point changes with pressure. It is directly proportional to pressure. So boiling point is directly proportional to pressure. So as pressure increases, boiling point also increases. Boiling point at standard atmospheric pressure is known as normal boiling point. Standard atmospheric pressure, I already told you, it is nothing but 1 atmosphere. Now, there is a change of state from between solid and vapor as well, where the substance directly changes from solid state to vapor state without going into the intermediate liquid state. So what is that change of state called? Transition from solid to vapor without going into the liquid state is known as sublimation. Solid and vapor states also coexist in thermal equilibrium during the change of state from solid to vapor. So these are basically the terms which you should remember, like melting, fusion, vaporization and sublimation. So even for sublimation, liquid state has no role to play in sublimation. So at thermal equilibrium, here the solid and the vapor phase will exist together. For example, dry ice iodine, because sublimation is not observed in all substances, because the general trend is when you heat a substance, because of the transfer of heat, the substance generally changes from solid to liquid state. So these are certain substances which are exception to that general rule. They directly change from solid to vapor. So certain such examples are dry ice and iodine. If you heat iodine, it will directly convert from solid to vapor. What is dry ice? Dry ice is nothing but solid carbon dioxide.
Thank you. Please visit examfear.com to watch free educational videos, try free online tests, get the best quality study materials, study from the best tutors and mentors, and much more. Thank you once again.